Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Naijha Speaks. I am highlighting a couple of my supporters here today. We have Jennifer Channin and Tiffany Walker-Roper of Women Funders in Animal Rights. Well, let's get right to it because that's a powerful statement right there. Women Funders in Animal Rights. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, starting with Jennifer.
Hi. So my name is Jennifer Channin. I've been a member of Women Funders in Animal Rights for a little bit over a year. I wasn't there when it first started, but it's a pretty new organization. And I'm part of the leadership committee as well as chairing the fundraising committee. And I've been working in the farmed animal protection space for about the last 5 years as well. I'm the development director for a nonprofit called Farm Forward, and I'm on the board of another nonprofit called the Better Food Foundation, and both of them are really trying to change the way we eat and grow our food in order to help animals, help people, help the environment, basically have a food system that aligns with our values.
So Jennifer, you're telling us you're really, really busy.
Yeah. But, you know, my passion in my career in life has largely been around philanthropy. So Women Funders in Animal Rights has been a really excellent way to try to create the change in the movement that I feel like I'm passionate about around, you know, changing where money goes and where money comes from to make it more equitable.
Yeah, and I see you're a professional Unitarian Universalist minister. Can you tell us what that is and what that means?
Yeah, so I, prior to the work that I'm doing right now, I was actually a minister at a church, a Unitarian Universalist church here in San Diego. I went to seminary, got ordained as a clergy person. So that was, you know, part of my career as well. But even when I was working in churches, my work tended to focus on social justice. So I was the social justice minister, and it was basically like community organizing people around a lot of issues, climate change action, hunger relief, things that end up being very relevant in any kind of nonprofit work.
So you have to be really, really pumped up and motivated before you start your day. Is there any form of inspiration that you use to start your day?
Well, I don't know. I like to start the day by listening to music and being really calm, actually. So I don't know that I'm trying to inspire myself, but I am trying to like keep myself from getting overwhelmed by all the information is out there.
Yes.
I try not to read the news at the beginning of the workday because then my mind won't really be where it needs to be.
Right. I got you. Well, we're going to hear a little bit from Tiffany Walker-Roper. What's going on?
Not too much. So I'm also involved with Women Funders in Animal Rights. I am on the leadership committee with Jennifer. I got involved in sometime in 2019, I want to say.
Okay.
After somebody actually reached out to me about it, and I also had the D&I committee of Women Funders. So
what's the D&I committee?
So it's a diversity and inclusion.
Oh, diversity and inclusion. Why do you need that?
Because as I'm sure many people are probably aware, the animal rights movement as a whole kind of has the appearance of being a very white movement, even though we have a lot of people of color and Black folks like that are vegan working. Yeah, right.
No.
Right. I mean, what? But a big part of that is about making sure that we are able to provide education to our members about issues around diversity when it comes to funding, and also to be able to have that voice kind of as a reminder to, hey, like, you
yeah,
know.
you got to have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
I learned that this year working with Mercy for Animals and the People's Fund. You really got to have a seat at the table because we need to be represented. So it's a very, very important position. So I know you got to start your day with some form of inspiration. I can relate.
I guess a little bit. I kind of I try to at least have a good mindset when I wake up in the morning.
That helps.
Unlike Jennifer, unfortunately, I actually do tend to look at the news in the morning. It's kind of part of my like routine. I just want to at least, make sure everything didn't, completely implode.
Now you're doing some other incredible things too. I see the Bay Area Chilies on Wheels and Vegan Outreach, the Vegan Food Aid Program. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I helped found the Bay Area Chilies on Wheels chapter.
I love Chilies on Wheels.
Yeah. And like my roommate, who's actually not here right now, but it was her who initially said, "Hey, I want to do this," and I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, this sounds cool." Like, because I used to live on the East Coast. I'm currently in California, but I used to live on the East Coast, and I had met Michelle a few times, so it actually made sense for me. And we do a lot of really great work out here, feeding the homeless community, giving out dog food and personal care items to the folks who need it. And we have a really great partnership with the Veg Hub and Chef Chu. They let us use their restaurant in order to cook our chili and get everything ready for our meal shares. So yeah, so we have some pretty great things going on there.
Very, very important work. Awesome. And then the Vegan Outreach, how's that going? Is that a pretty new program, the Vegan Food Aid Project?
Yes, it was actually started in response to COVID.
Yeah. A lot of things started in response to COVID. It's very needed at this time.
It was a major pivot for Vegan Outreach. I actually did not work for Vegan Outreach until this program got started. And we do a lot of really amazing work there. And the program is actually in multiple locations, so not just the Bay Area. It's also LA, where Gwenna is actually working with like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I love Gwenna. That's my peeps. That's my peeps.
Yeah, and we've got someone working with the Navajo Nation. And we've also got someone working in Iowa, and yeah, we've got all of this like really awesome, amazing stuff going on.
Amazing, great job. Well, let's get to what we're all here for: women funders and animal rights. What was the inspiration behind this organization, this movement, and how did you come up with the name? Who wants to take that?
Well, I can start. So Women Funders and Animal Rights was put together by a group of women at a time when the animal rights movement was really impacted by what was going on with Me Too. I mean, of course, that's always been an issue, gender equity, sexual harassment. But there was a group of women who were really particularly concerned about what was going on in our movement and wanting to take some actions to make changes. And so
why only women? Why only women?
Well, there's a long history of women's giving circles, of women coming together, pooling their resources. Women are highly underrepresented in philanthropy as philanthropists. In our own movement, there are a lot of women who give, but most of them don't give at the threshold that would get them a seat at the table where a lot of funders meet and make decisions about, how they're going to collaborate to direct giving. So creating a collective of women who pool their funds, no matter how much you have to give, whether it's, $1 or 10,000 or 100,000, but being realizing that we all have something to contribute to that decision-making power,
Right.
and that we're better at making those decisions together, we can amplify our voices and have a voice that really can compete amongst all of the very powerful funder voices in our sector.
I'm learning a lot here. So there's a threshold, and we have to be at the threshold in order to, wow. So, okay, that's the inspiration behind Women Funders and Animal Rights. And that's where the name came from, I assume. Just women.
Yeah, well,
rights.
And I want to point out, we also, we had some conversations, and very early on made the decision to put the letter X in the word women. People know that we're really, we're talking about how people identify personally, and includes trans people, people who identify as non-binary, really anybody who, when it comes to gender, is not part of the most socially privileged groups.
Okay. And each of you have different roles and functions that you play. Tiffany, you talked about your role and function was diversity and inclusion. Can you talk about what that day-to-day looks like? And what have you done so far? Any accomplishments in that role with Women Funders and Animal Rights?
So at the moment, I'm rebuilding the committee.
Oh, wow. Already, you just started.
Yeah, because we had some membership rotations, and so I actually need to have a committee again. It was already established when I joined, but all of the people that were involved, except for me, have kind of cycled out. And but the main purpose of the committee is to make sure that information, that diversity and inclusion is included in all of our content, and the events that we have, and the people that we have come in and speak. And also because a big point of Women Funders is to make sure that we are funding and helping diverse organizations and people.
I know you're funding Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland, and that's why we're out here highlighting you. And you
yes.
I mean, I just have to be honest and say that Women Funders and Animal Rights was the first major supporter of the Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland. When I say major, we got a nice big check one year, and that was great. That was the first time we did that. We have a couple of other supporters, but that one check was the first time we received a nice sum of money. So we definitely appreciate your support. And talking about money and funding, Jennifer, I know that's your role. Can you talk about what you do and what you need to do there? I know it's easy to just get money, right?
For some reason, I volunteered to chair the fundraising committee, which is something I really enjoy, and it draws upon the experience that I have for my entire career. So I love the work, but
I'm hearing a little echo. Volume on something needs to turn down.
But what we do primarily is give funds away to mostly grassroots, small organizations led by women, led by people of color. And these are the groups that are most difficult to fundraise for. They find, they receive fewer funds overall from philanthropy, fewer unrestricted funds. And so the more money we raise, the more grants we could give. For the last 2 years, we've given grants out once a year. We would love to be able to make that twice a year. We've given roughly $50,000 each year, but we would love to be able to give a lot more. I mean, that's just a drop in the bucket of the need that's out there, and the really, really highly impactful and transformative groups that we want to fund. Each year we've received far more applications that we wanted to fund than we could fund. And
I can imagine how many grants do you usually receive when people are, and here's the website. So I'm just giving everybody an idea of what the website looks like, and, the call for donations and how you apply for grants. And we'll probably
thank you.
40s. Yeah, absolutely. Because you just had a meeting, and the meeting was to look for members and people to contribute. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we pool funds from our own members, and we also raise funds from others. So there's no minimum to give to become a WFR member, but we do suggest that if people can give $500, that's a suggestion. And then some people give a lot more. It's all based on what they can contribute. But people also contribute their social networks and their ability to ask others. So, we send out our own grant proposals. We approach major funders, male and female in the movement, and let them know that if they want their funds to reach more grassroots organizations, and these are the groups that we've funded this year, giving to WFR is a way to help those funds reach people who are doing this work at the grassroots, especially women and people of color. So we're trying to raise funds both from our own members. Hopefully one day we'll have so many members that we can, give hundreds of thousands of dollars of grants each year just based on all the smaller gifts that we pool. But right now we're in the startup phase, and it really would help to get some larger grants go through us from people who want their money to reach the kind of people that we support.
So everyone is welcome to the table, and there's an asterisk there. So that asterisk means, I always got to look at the asterisk because that means Women Funders is an inclusive group. Okay, so everyone is welcome. They're looking for members right now. Obviously, the more members they have, the more money they can grow the fund and probably fund more recipients, because the first one you had 7 and then you went down to 5. Any reason for the difference in the two?
It was largely about the amount of money that we had. We had a little more money the first year than the second year. It also had to do with the amount of funds that people asked for. We try to give people the full amount that they ask for. We were able to give up to 10,000 this year. Sometimes people ask for less, and then we can, give out more grants. But it was really just, we have a meeting in which we vote on the applications. Everybody gets to read all of the applications. Everybody gets to discuss them. And then every member of our organization gets an equal vote. And we end up just with a sort of ranked list of the organizations. And we give the money we have away to those groups until we run out.
So you have an application deadline coming up in April, and
that's right.
Seems really simple. Even if you're not a 501c3, so people have to just read through that, but it's pretty simple. So let people know. They ask all the time, Naijha, how do you receive support? How do you receive? I'm telling you right now, everyone is here. Okay, Women Funders and Animal Rights. They're looking for members to donate and support, and this is where you go to apply. What type of grants can they apply for? Is it just one thing you just want to know about their proposal, or are you funding operational costs? Talk to us about that.
It's all unrestricted general operations. The best advice for funders who want to support smaller grassroots organizations is to give unrestricted funds, because you need to trust the leaders of those groups to be able to use their own judgment and knowledge and how to use those funds best. Right now, they're grants of up to $10,000. In the future, we would love for those to be larger. And it needs to align with the values of animal rights. But, if anyone has questions about whether our organization is eligible, they should absolutely reach out to us on their website, because our grants really go to a wide range of issues. Some people doing legal advocacy, some people doing direct community based on the ground, neighborhood advocacy. We've supported international organizations, 2 groups in Mexico, 1 in Chile. So there really are a wide range of kinds of projects that we end up funding, but they need to align with our values of helping animals and be organizations that reflect values of gender equity and racial justice and how they operate.
This is amazing, because definitely communities of color and women definitely need the support. To Tiffany's point, she said earlier, that diversity, inclusion, and making sure that we all have fair equity in the game, and it's very important. And you have to have a seat at the table. So thank you for representing us, Tiffany. What types of challenges have you experienced with the grants, whether it's applying or getting the word out, and how have you overcome them or still trying to overcome them? You want to take that, Tiffany?
Yeah. So obviously, since, we provide funds to folks who apply, so long as they're chosen to receive it, obviously that kind of comes with the, oh, well, okay, we're looking at all these applications, like, what do they want? And you kind of have to ultimately think about, oh, is this really going to be, is this the best option? Is
Do you have
what they're
tips on how people should apply? Like, what are you looking for in a grant?
It's kind of I guess it's kind of hard to say, because we get so many great applications, and a lot of the time they're asking for like funds for something really specific, like they have a specific project that they want to fund, and so long as we feel good about what they're giving us, like we actually do take the time to talk to the organizations and get to know them and, learn about like what it is that they're trying to do. But like the biggest piece of advice for anyone who would like to apply for funding from us is to give us as much information as possible, so that we're able to really have enough to think about, because when we have a whole bunch of applications, if we're not able to really connect to it, like if there's information we don't have that might make a difference in whether we would want to give the funds, if it's not there, then like we can't consider it.
They got to tell the story. They got to really tell the story.
They've got to really give us something to work with.
Is that some of the challenge that you're going through, people applying and not really telling the story or giving enough details? Are you having issues with just getting the word out about women funders and animal rights and what you're doing?
Certainly, reaching the people who need the funds the most is going to be a challenge, because like everything, we mostly depend on our social networks. We can advertise online, but the people who are most likely to find out about us are people who our members know. And so that's a good reason to grow our membership and diversify our membership, because then we're going to reach more communities that need what we can offer them. So that, I think, is a bigger challenge. Is, how do you know that you're reaching everybody who needs to be reached?
Right. Yeah. I went through the experience this year working with Mercy for Animals, and you're who you reach out to and who you're connected to is definitely going to make a difference. Can people that you funded become members, or is that a conflict?
Oh, I mean, I don't. It's definitely not a conflict. You can become a member, because if we're voting on the grants, and and your organization has happened to apply for one and is in the pool of potential grantees, then then the easiest thing to do there would be to not vote on that one, because it is a conflict of interest. But
right.
But yeah, we would absolutely welcome grantees to if they want to become a member.
Awesome.
And similarly, we make grants once a year, but we have meetings every month. And those meetings are on a wide variety of topics. Sometimes they're training, sometimes they're discussions about issues in social justice and animal rights and philanthropy. And having our grantees participate in those meetings ends up being super helpful because they're the people who are most engaged in issues on the ground when they happen.
Yeah, I thank you for the invitation, because I didn't even realize, I'm learning even on my end, building stronger relationships with grantors, because again, it's even with for-profit, it's relationship selling, relationship building. That's how people are going to really know who you are and more about you, that strong relationship. So yeah, I was glad to be there to tell my story and of how you helped and how it's beneficial and how people need to donate more. So definitely donate. Women Funders in AR.org is the website. You're tuning in to Naijha Speaks. Please like, subscribe, and comment on NaijhaSpeaks.com. I want to give a shout out to my supporters again here: Women Funders in Animal Rights, A Well-Fed World, Veg Fund, Eat the Change, and Collectively, and Jane and Chain News, who I'm a contributor for. All have given me support and is much appreciated and needed, so we can get the word out. And this is one of the things that I like to do: getting that word out and the message out to my network. People that need this and aren't aware that this is here. How can you share some stories of how your grants have impacted organizations, whether it's locally, regionally, or nationally? Give a couple examples of how, since you started this fund, some like, wow, we're really glad that we did this because so and so was able to do that.
Well, there's been several groups that have told us that, our grant, which is $10,000, which for some might be a small grant, was the largest
That's
grant.
money to me. I could do something with that money. I'll make it work, baby.
Yeah. Or it might be the first grant that they've ever received. Maybe they've received small individual donations, but never a grant before. And so it ends up being something that they can leverage in order to grow their organization or to approach other funders. I
can tell you, your grant has helped me put together Vegan Restaurant Week, which is a twice a year event. Without the Keep It Fresh Fest, which we couldn't have this year, and then we turned it into some type of plant-based. I can just tell you, is much appreciated. When you don't have anything and you get something, you're gonna make it work. So that's my story.
Yeah, like that's actually that's why what we do is so important and why it should be taken seriously within the movement, because the ability to do something really specific with food, and actually showing people in communities that typically aren't going to get exposed to veganism, at least not in the same way that other communities might, is a really important stepping stone towards people becoming aware.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And doing something like a restaurant week in particular is really impactful, because people are able to say, oh, I can go to my favorite restaurant and get an item that is not normally on their menu. And I can take my whole family there because everybody already knows the food is good there.
Right. And it gets the businesses involved, so it doesn't become just consumers. Get the businesses, businesses can reach a lot of people, and we're trying to send this message. If you weren't doing this work, what would you be doing? We all have goals and aspirations.
Well, I can speak for myself, my nerdy passion is philanthropy for some reason. So, I get involved in something, I immediately start asking, so like, where is the money flowing? So even if I wasn't involved in women funders and animal rights, I would probably be finding some way to try to influence how philanthropy flows to the issues that I care about in ways that are more equitable, are more justice oriented. So I was just happy that this organization came along, because it's a vehicle for me to like get involved in the kinds of issues that I already spend all my time thinking about.
Right. Tiffany, what would you be doing?
I think for me, if I never had to like worry about, just like regular life stuff and could just really do whatever, I'd probably be like sitting somewhere on some sanctuary, just like hanging out, taking care of animals, and like using that as a means to educate people about about animals in general.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. How are you two navigating your careers and ambitions during the pandemic? So, we're going to be it's been 8-9 months already, and we're getting ready to go into 2021. How have you been navigating through all of this?
Well, in many ways, the pandemic has sharpened the urgency of the work that I do. I work for a couple of nonprofits that were already online. So in many ways, my day-to-day work hasn't changed that much. I went to Zoom meetings all day last year, and I go to Zoom meetings all day this year. But being able to talk to people outside of the animal protection space about why the problems with factory farm matter. They matter to animals, but they also matter to public health. They matter to the environment. Like, these conversations have gotten easier. People are listening who just weren't open to listening anymore, because they realize that like what we're doing to animals, to their bodies, to produce our food, that has ramifications for everybody. And if you don't like what's happening right now to the world because of this pandemic, then we really need to fix our factory farm system, because it just makes it so much more likely that pandemics like this are going to happen over and over again, maybe even worse than this one.
Right. This is why we got the petition. While we're at it, sign the petition at change.org/plant-powered Kamala. We're asking Kamala Harris to go vegan for the month of January. Sign the petition, please, please, please. Tiffany, how are you navigating?
It's definitely been an experience for sure. Like, I live in Oakland, and this has always been a very interesting city to just generally exist. And as part of like everything around the pandemic, I've just kind of been thinking about ways in which I could kind of like restructure some of the skills that I have, and how I could have a different kind of impact. Just by having some new skills that I can like pass on to others, and finding hobbies and things of the sort, but also kind of I guess trying to be like knowledgeable about things around like COVID and wearing a mask and things of the sort. Because there is definitely still a lot of information going around. I'm lucky that I live somewhere where people are, at least complying with the wearing a mask thing. But because the weather is nice here all year, people just assume that they can hang out outside in large groups. So
you got that going on over here, and it's not sunny.
Yeah,
it's going on everywhere.
Yeah, I guess it's just kind of like being as informed as possible to make the best decisions, that will keep me healthy and keep like those around me healthy.
Yes. Yes.
Because ultimately that's really what matters. So yeah.
So the best way folks can connect with you is on the website, right? The Womxn Funders and AR right here. That's the best. There's any social media handles that they should be using.
I mean, if you just type Womxn Funders and animal rights into Facebook or Twitter, will be the first thing that comes up. We have a pretty unique name. But if you go on our website, there's a contact form. And if you contact us, we'll have your email and we could tell you about upcoming events.
Okay.
I want to make sure people know that we have an upcoming event. Yeah,
okay.
Just contact. This coming Monday, January 4th, is one of our general meetings, but we're opening it up to anybody who's considering becoming a member of WIFR. You don't have to decide to join. And we're going to have a really special guest, Carol Adams, who just a groundbreaking thinker.
This Monday
in our movement, is going to come and speak to us and answer questions. So if anyone listening thinks that this is a group that they'd be interested in joining, or even if they just want to learn more, reach out through that contact form online, share us your email, and then we can invite you to this upcoming meeting on Monday.
Okay. What time does it start? I'm putting it in
it is at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Putting that 4 p.m. EST contact form at Womxn Funders. Use contact form. Okay.
Yeah, and you can also reach out to us on Facebook. I'm the only person with my name in the world, I think. So, reach out to me, private message me. I'll send you the link too.
Awesome. So I put that out there. Any tips before we go? Any piece of advice you would like to leave the viewers with? Anything that you haven't shared that you probably want to share now? I have Susan. Susan is searching for any animalherokids.org education opportunities. So just wanted to highlight that for Susan, animalherokids.org. So do you want to share anything before we leave?
I'll just share that people often underestimate the influence that they can have on the whole work that we do, on the entire animal protection movement or even the larger social justice movement. And I'm often surprised how when a group of people come together and decide that we're going to pool our voices and we're going to speak collectively, giving collectively is really impactful, but speaking collectively, I'm often amazed what we can influence. And so my advice to people is whether it's through this group or another group, I think we need more people to come together and and amplify their own voices in ways that promote more equity and social justice, that
I agree.
Make power be shared in the way that really reflect how we want the world to look.
Yes, exactly. Tiffany, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I definitely, I agree with that. Also too, I think one tip I have is open yourself to the idea of expanding your way of thinking around what is worth being funded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Think
about that. Actually, thinking differently about that, because when we're looking at funding grassroots groups, the work that they're doing is not going to be comparable to what a more established organization would be doing.
Right, but that's so no brainer. What is up with that? Obviously.
yeah, you would think so, but you'd be surprised.
Yeah, we often hear, I send out grant proposals all the time, and we're often asked to explain how you're effective. And people who are from the communities they're working with, people who bring a lifelong knowledge about how to build relationships with people in a certain community, how to do work in a certain culture, are going to be the most effective at transforming that culture when it comes to how people eat, how people design their food system. And so, yeah, to what Tiffany said, I think a lot of highly effective work is overlooked because people don't recognize that the value comes from the knowledge and the networks and the relationships and the leadership of people at the grassroots level and what they bring to it and how valuable that is.
Right. And people have to understand everyone's not going vegan overnight. It might just be a transition. And it takes work. It takes building relationships. It takes, hey, I got to get to know you. I may not trust you. I'm sorry, but, our communities don't trust a lot because of all the stuff that's been going on and done to us historically. So, yeah, maybe I don't want to hear from you. I need to see somebody else. And people have to understand that it takes time, one day at a time, and everyone's sharing a common goal and a mission, and we will get there. Yes, awareness of investing intentionally enlightens. Thank you for that, Susan, and thank you for joining. Thank you to all the viewers. I appreciate Jennifer and Tiffany coming on, taking the time out to speak to you. Again, I appreciate your support on behalf of Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland. You have done wonders to get us where we are, and I look forward to connecting with you again in 2021. So thank you. Women Funders in AR.org, please support, become a member, get your grants in if you need some funding, if you meet the criteria, and also sign the petition at change.org/plant-powered Kamala. You're tuning in to Naijha Speaks, NaijhaSpeaks.com. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, be safe and mask on. Have a good one.